The inaugural Challenge Barcelona. And a big warm welcome to the inaugural Challenge Barcelona. To say I am excited is an absolute understatement. I have been waiting for this race for months. The race is a sellout with over 3,200 participants from 57 countries, including a stellar field of 60 professional athletes, competing over the new elite short distance in the heart of one of Europe's most iconic cities, and certainly one of my most favourite cities in Europe. This hybrid distance is what is going to make it very, very interesting here today. Or as one of our competitors, Lucy Buckingham calls it, the short long course race. It is a distance that I don't think any of our pro athletes have ever raced before, comprising of a 1.5 kilometre swim, 60 kilometre bike and a 15k run. You can see our elite men already assembled down there on the start line. They have just under 10 minutes to go, so 9 minutes and 12 seconds. Amazing pro men's field, 42 professional men. I can see Aaron Royle there from Australia, Milan Bronze from the Netherlands right next to him. We have, of course, the one and only Alistair Brownlee from Great Britain. We are all dying to see him out on a race course again. He hasn't been on a race course since about halfway through the year. He's had a terrible, terrible string of injuries, so it is a sight for sore eyes, I have to say, to see Alistair Brownlee back on a start line here in Barcelona. Great distance for him to come back to as well. As you can see, our timetable right now, we have our professional men starting. 8 a.m. start for our elite men, 8:02 for our elite women. We've got our Olympic distance athletes starting at 9:40, our sprint distance at 11:45, and our super sprint at 1:15. And then our junior challenge. So just to go through today, it will be a non-wetsuit swim. The water temperature right now sitting at around 23.5 degrees Celsius. So it will be wetsuit illegal for our professional men and women. For our age group athletes today, it will be wetsuit optional. So they are able to wear wetsuits if they want to. But for our professional athletes, they certainly will not be able to wear wetsuits today as we start to call up all of our elite professional men. 8 a.m. kickoff here today. 42 professional men lined up. A stellar field of professional men and women. You can see Alistair Brownlee, the one we are most excited in seeing here today. Right next to him is Aaron Royle from Australia. Fantastic to have Aaron here racing. We're very excited about this new hybrid distance. We have Yuri Kulin, also from the Netherlands here today. We have Milan Brons from the Netherlands. Cam Worth has come across from Andorra, so of course Cam Worth, famous for being in Team Ineos, so not only a professional cyclist, that wasn't enough for Cam, he had to be a professional triathlete as well. And what most of you may not realise, he was a professional rower before that. As we look at the course here today, so they have one loop in the swim, 1.5 kilometres, 5 12-kilometre loops on the bike to make it 60 kilometres, and 3 lots of 5-kilometre loops for the run, for a total of 15 kilometres. It is a flat, fast and furious course here, a reasonably technical bike course in that there are quite a few 180-degree turns that they will have to do today. But we are implementing the 20-metre rule, so really great to see that the 20-metre rule will be implemented today for drafting. Being a flat and fast course, this will make a huge difference to both the professional women's and men's race. Fantastic scenery right now in Barcelona. I was lucky enough to get to go to Barcelona earlier this year when I was based in Girona for work, and it truly is such an incredible city. And to have a race right in the heart, right in downtown Barcelona, well, it's blowing my mind right now because I've been to this beach and I've been to where they're going to be riding and running today, and it is fantastic. So really exciting times here, and I think this race moving forward is going to be an absolute gem in the Challenge family series of races. But it is that man on screen right now, Alistair Brownlee, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. He is one of the most incredible triathletes the planet has ever seen, and it is just so great to see him back on a start line again. I know Aaron Royle was so excited. It was one of the main reasons that he wanted to race here this weekend, was to get one more chance to race the great Alistair Brownlee, and I'm sure there are many other professional athletes lining up right now that are just as excited. So 42 professional men, as I said, some really great athletes. Aaron Royle and Alistair Brownlee being the top two. Alistair Brownlee in bib number 1, Aaron Royle wearing bib number 2, Yuri Kulin in bib number 3, Cam Worth bib number 4. The big hope for Spain, Antonio Benito Lopez, very, very good athlete. He is wearing bib number 5. Jonathan Weff from Belgium, bib number 6, and Milan Brons, bib number 9. And then in 10, Willy Hirsch from Germany. He's another great athlete, another one of those great athletes from Germany. We've then got Pella Osuro. And while we wait for the start, we're around 4 minutes away from the start. We have some incredible professional women racing here today as well. The top of that list has to be Imogen Simmonds from Switzerland. She has had an incredible year of racing, has come back from injury and surgery, and really doing so incredibly well so far this year. And I'm looking forward to her race today. She'll be up against Sara, hometown Sara in Barcelona. Literally goes past her house where she grew up. So it's very exciting for Sara. Heidi Kibora from Estonia, great to have Heidi as well. Carolyn Cole from Germany, Olivia Mitchell from Ireland, Lucy Buckingham from Great Britain, Janine Alberti from Spain as well, and then Justin Gerard. So great women's field. See a good start. They are ready to go.
Amb aquesta nova prova del triatló de Barcelona, aquest any el Challenge Barcelona Triathlon, amb més de 3.200 participants, amb aquesta distància short que està a punt de començar. Important destacar el
Royle wearing bib number 2, currently sitting in 6th place in the world bonus. World bonus. He's had a great year as well. He's still looking for that elusive when he was most recently second in the inaugural against where Freddie Funk took the win. Aaron Royle really looking for that top spot. He still had a really strong season. And sitting in 6th place, I think he today actually up in 3rd spot overall. In the as we go to our women's, as I said, Imogen Simmonds. Is so he's been in the sport for 8 years. Coached by Alistair Brownlee. He's been based in Barcelona, so very, very close.
Why are you here?
Sala.
The way is
Just come down to altitude training. She was up in Sierra Nevada. I've been training up there before. Absolutely amazing place to train. It'll be interesting to see how she goes. So she's going to come down from altitude training 48 hours ago, and she's not 100% sure how her body is going to behave. We're sure to find out very, very shortly. The women off 2 minutes behind the men. In the hands of the starter, less than 1 minute to go.
Momento para la salida. 10 segundos para la salida.
10 seconds.
Benvinguts a Barcelona.
Welcome to the Challenge Barcelona Triathlon.
And they are away. The inaugural Challenge Barcelona 2023 42 professional. Now in the 1.5 swim, it is a single loop, clockwise direction swim. Fantastic aerial shot. Our professional men in the water here today. We have some very, very strong swimmers racing. Up front, we do expect Francesc Godoy from Spain to be leading the way. Thanks to Torsten Rade yet again for his stats, his analysis. He sends me through, he crunches all the numbers, lets me know who's the best at each level.
I ara sí, aquestes mans amunt, perquè tenim la segona sortida èlit. 30 segons per la sortida.
30 seconds for this second start.
Això acaba de començar, comença la festa! Veiem començar lenta ja aquesta distància lliure de masculina, s'està posant a aquesta primera boia que la deixaran a la dreta per continuar
So we are back. Sorry about that. It is technology at its finest, or at its worst. So sorry about that loose connection. We're trying to, hopefully we are back now and back for good. As you can see, the sun has come up well and truly now. We have the professional men underway. 1,500 metres have to swim day today. This is a new hybrid distance that we have for you here at Challenge Barcelona. Challenge Barcelona, while it may be the first of Challenge Barcelona for this year, formerly the Barcelona Triathlon. So it has been around before. We've made a special distance this year for our professional men and women. 1.5 kilometre swim, 60 kilometre bike and 15 kilometre run. So it is our new short, long course distance. Lucy Buckingham came up with that term and I like it, so I'm going to use it. So thanks for that, Lucy. But a really great distance. We've got a really cool combination of our long distance athletes and our shorter distance athletes racing here today, coming together over this special hybrid distance. I'm going to be really keen to see how our traditionally longer distance athletes fare with the shorter distances over swim, bike, run. Beautiful, beautiful conditions here in Barcelona. I have to say, Europe is having the greatest extended summer known to mankind. While I'm here in Australia in rain and cold, and we are supposed to be in summer or very close to summer, it looks like Europe has stolen the summer for over our side of the world for now, but great for the race here, the inaugural Challenge Barcelona. I'm sure these athletes that we see on screen right now will not be complaining at all. They are absolutely flying right now. We do expect that leader to be Francesc Godoy of Spain, and right on his heels should be Royle with Alistair Brownlee not too far behind. We know these three men are the best swimmers in the field. But you can see that, and as expected, when you get a combination of a long distance and short distance athletes, we're going to see even over 1,500 metres, some fairly significant gaps start to form in this swim. And right now with this aerial shot, you can see even over the distance that they've swum so far, major gaps already starting to form. But this race here today, as I said, formerly known as the Barcelona Triathlon, it's a sellout field of 3,200 participants, including over 60 professional men and women. And this sellout field marks an 88% growth of the event from 2022. And also, and what I am most excited about, it sees a significant increase in female participation, which this year has grown by 30%. So incredible figures here for the race today. Our age group athletes, well, they'll be racing over an Olympic sprint or super sprint distance today. And we had an aquathon, and we have the aquathon and the junior challenge races as well. So an action-packed day of racing. We will be looking to extend this distance next year in the years to come to a middle distance race. But I'll be honest, I would love to see this distance for our professional athletes stay here, because I love the idea of these hybrid distances, these different distances for our professional athletes. This is a distance that I don't think any of the athletes racing would be accustomed to. So it has that little air of mystery about it. We really don't know who is going to be coming out on top. We have our suspicions, of course. We know Alistair Brownlee. Great distance for him. Royle, I know he was also super keen on this distance when I was talking to him about it earlier, a couple of months ago. But our professional men, they started at 8 a.m. this morning. They had 1,500 metres to swim, one big single loop. They are very near exiting the water. They are in the final 100 to 150 metres of the swim here today. You can see that the field has really started to split. It is a long single line of swimmers. We are expecting Francesc Godoy from Spain to be out in first. He was third at the Barcelona Triathlon last year. He is a very, very accomplished swimmer. He is the fastest swimmer on paper. Behind him, we are expecting it to be Aaron Royle from Australia, currently ranked as the #1 swimmer on the PTO ranking list, and Alistair Brownlee hot on his heels as well. Perfect conditions for a race. It's nice and still. We know that the bike and run course here, both really flat and fast. As the men make their way to the finish, you can see it now. They are only meters away from that swim exit. They will make their way to transition. Now, transition is something to behold. The entire inside of the athletics track, so the entire football field, will be the transition area, packed with 3,200 bikes here today. It really was a sight to, or is a sight to behold. So the athletes will make their way up the sand, off the beach, and then across to that track where they will get on their bikes. They'll take their bikes. It's about a 400-meter run. So a 400 meters, it's quite a long transition up to transition, and when they are actually allowed to mount their bike. And that's because the track itself is quite a ways lower than the road they'll be riding on. So it's a ramp. So they'll make their way, as you can see now, making their way up into transition. So into that athletics field, onto the football field, where they'll collect their bikes. Fantastic swim. And it's quite a big, steady stream. There's Aaron Royle and Alistair Brownlee right on his feet as expected. And we are now over at the transition area. So you can see now the athletes will make their way from the beach all the way to this athletics centre. You can see coming down now, bikes are in the middle of the field. And once they get to their bikes, they'll make their way up a ramp, up to the higher road, which is where they'll be riding. Race number goes on, helmet on. We can see Aaron Royle and Alistair Brownlee. So a great shot there of the two men that we do expect to be tussling it out for the win here today. But you can see that transition area is a sight to behold. The entire field, so the entire football field, taken up with bikes, 3,200 as the athletes make their way now up. They'll go up a ramp, up onto the road. A 60-kilometre bike ride. It is flat, it is fast. 5 laps that they will be doing today. But you can see it is a very long run. They said it was around 400 metres, so a very long run up to the start of the bike ride. In the background, you can see Aaron Royle and Alistair Brownlee. I have a feeling that these two are going to be joined by the hip for the majority of the race here today. So right now on screen, it is Willi Hirsch from Germany. What a fantastic swim Willi has had here today. We knew he was going to be up there. I didn't expect him to lead the swim. As we can see, this is something we did expect to see today. Both Lucy Buckingham and Sara Peréz Sala joined at the hip throughout this swim. Great swim from these two women. They are the superfish of triathlon. But incredible swim from this young man, Willi Hirsch. As the first of our professional women, Sara Peréz Sala, fantastic transition from her. She will take it out first here onto the bike, followed by Lucy Buckingham from Great Britain. But Sara Peréz Sala, she will be the crowd favourite here. She grew up in Barcelona. The bike course basically goes past the house where she grew up. She knows this place very, very well. She's literally just come down from altitude training in Sierra Nevada. She's been down for 48 hours. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how the body holds up for her today. She said she's been swimming very, very well and feeling a lot more confident in that area. We know that she comes from a swimming background. She represented Spain at the 2004 Olympics in Athens. She was part of the 4x100 medley team, which actually ended up finishing in 4th place. And that was as a 16-year-old. So 16 years of age, and she made the Olympic team for Spain in swimming. She crossed over to triathlon. She also dabbled in some professional cycling, a little bit like Cam Worth in our men's field. And now, of course, well and truly entrenched in the professional world of triathlon. We can see on screen Willi Hirsch from Germany up in front. We've got Royle and Alistair Brownlee joined at the hip out of the swim. We knew that would be the case. Francesc Godoy also up there as anticipated. But it's this young man on screen, Willi Hirsch, that's had the swim of his life. Fantastic to see. Yet another German. These German athletes, they just keep coming and coming every race, every weekend. It's amazing. I'm not sure what they're doing right over there in Germany, but they are producing some incredible athletes now. We know that we have lost the likes of Jan Frodeno, Sebastian Kinley retiring at the end of this year as well. But good to see that while two of our greatest German athletes are retiring, we've got plenty coming through to fill that void. We're back with Sara Peréz Sala. You can see these roads today completely shut to traffic. So amazing that we have been able to, that the organisers of Challenge Barcelona have been able to completely shut down one of the busiest cities in the world. Beautiful circuit for them today. 5 laps, 20-metre draft rule being implemented to make it a really, really fair race for our professional men and our professional women. It's what we want to see. As you can see, the first 180-degree turn. So while this course is definitely flat, fast and furious, there are some technical parts to it, a lot of 180-degree turns. You can see out of the swim, Sara, Peréz, Sala and Lucy Buckingham coming out pretty much together. Carolyn Pohl from Germany, another ex-swimmer, so was from a swimming background, coming out in third, followed by Luisa Longa and Marta Sanchez from Spain. We knew that Marta would be up there as well, very strong swimmer, so our top 5. Big news is Imogen Simmonds, our favourite to take the win here today, is around 1:27, so just on 1 minute 30 down on our leaders. That's a big chunk of time over 1,500 metres. And the reason I'm quite surprised at this is, as well, is because Imogen Simmonds is a really good swimmer in her own right. So a minute 30 over 1,500 metres is quite a chunk of time, and I am quite surprised that it's that far. But we do know that Imogen Simmonds picked up a bit of a head cold last week, so is coming into this race a little bit under the weather, and that might be what we are seeing now as the men's race starting to really come together. Hoping that once they get out, they can start separating these men. 20-metre draft rule. A couple of these athletes taking advantage right now. But as expected, Alistair Brownlee has taken the lead of the race. He is the strongest cyclist on paper, coming out on top even over the likes of Camworth. Sara, Peréz, Sala. It's going to be a very emotional day for her. I was talking to her earlier this week, and like she said, she's from Barcelona. She grew up on this bike course. She mentioned to me that when she was a child, she used to go to Parc de la Ciutadella because she lived only 1 minute by foot from the park. And the bike course that we have here today goes around this park. She said she's feeling so special and so proud to be racing in her city, near her home, near all the places that were so important to her when she was growing up. And, you know, reading that when she sent this through to me, it actually gave me goosebumps, because I can imagine right now, I see her on screen right now, out in front, leading the race, leading the inaugural Challenge Barcelona, and it just puts a massive smile on my face. She's an incredible athlete, a beautiful person. So I could just imagine how exciting it is. And that is actually Camworth that's just gone past her down in that right screen. So Cameron Worth from Australia. He's got a little bit of work to do. He knew that was going to be the case. As soon as he found out it was going to be a non-wetsuit swim, he's like, oh, bugger. This is going to be a little tough for me. But, you know, the thing we love about Camworth is he never makes excuses. He gets onto business. As soon as that gun goes off, it's all down to business, and he will give it 100%. He'll know that he has got a huge deficit to make up for out of that swim. It is obvious that our lead women have overtaken him at some point on that swim course, but he has now overtaken Sara, Peréz, Sala. So he is at least on the chase. We weren't sure whether Cam was going to be able to race here. He contacted me quite a long time ago saying he really wanted to do this race. He, of course, lives in Andorra, which is not too far away, and he really wanted the opportunity of racing in Barcelona. He had a wedding very close by. I think it was in Barcelona itself last night. And he said, if I'm going to be in Barcelona, there is no way I am missing this race. But we were thinking that he was going to have to do a cycle race, because he is, of course, part of Team Ineos, and they are racing this weekend as well. And he is always having to make sure that he is available if and when needed. And we found out only a few days ago that he would not be needed, so we get him instead. So we are very thankful for that. We love having Camworth at our races. He always makes it interesting. And as I said, he always gives 100%. Never any excuses. A lot of people didn't realise, after his race at the World Championships in Nice, that he actually had a pretty nasty crash on one of the descents. Took it just that touch too hard, pushed the envelope a little too much and crashed. No one knew about it because he didn't talk about it. He's just not one of those athletes to ever make an excuse. But great scenes here now on a Sunday morning in downtown Barcelona. This bike course takes the athletes past so many famous landmarks, such as the Sagrada. So some incredible monuments and landmarks that they will be going past, such as the Sagrada Familia, Barcelona Zoo, Parliament House. I don't think there'll be a lot of spectating taking place for our professional athletes right now. But right now, with our professional men, Yuri Kulin, we know that we have around 5 men on the front in this front group. You can see there Alistair Brownlee, Aaron Royle. They're riding at around 60 kilometres an hour, so they are absolutely flying on what I have to say is simply such a spectacular course with the sun coming up in the foreground. They ride past so many of these incredible landmarks, completely shut down roads. This is what we want to see. What a beautiful bike course. Right now we're coming up on the Olympic area, so we know that the Olympic Games were here back in, I believe it was 1992. So way back in the day, I remember watching the Barcelona Olympics. Nothing beats that diving competition, the backdrop of that diving pool. It's still there today. When I was there earlier this year, I went for a run and we made our way up to that pool, and it is breathtakingly beautiful up there. Right now in our women's race, you can see Sara, Peréz, Sala and Lucy Buckingham in a position that both are very, very accustomed to when they race together. You often will see them swim and ride together, both very strong swim-bike combination. Great to see so many people outlining the streets, supporting today. We have a great field of Spanish athletes also racing, and I'm sure they're very excited to see Sara, Peréz, Sala leading that way for the Spanish women. Riding now on the fastest part of the course. You can see the beach in the background. You could not get a flatter or faster course if you tried. And as I said, they will pass the Arc de Triomphe. So they've just passed that, the Arc de Triomphe. And right at that point, they will get an incredible view of the Sagrada Familia. But Yuri Kulin from the Netherlands leading the way now in the men's race. Only 25 years of age, one of the youngest competitors in the field. He started the sport of triathlon back in 2013, so he's been in the sport for 10 years now. He was recently 6th at the 70.3 World Championships in Finland, had a great race there. He's based in Girona, so this is almost like a local race for Yuri. He's been based in Girona for quite some time. It's only around 90 kilometers from Girona, the triathlon training mecca, to downtown Barcelona. So a very easy race for these athletes to get to. We've got quite a few athletes here today who base themselves in either Girona or the Banyoles area. So great to see them coming across and supporting the race here today. So this is our lead group of professional men. We know Yuri Kulin is in that group. Willie Hirsch is in that group. Alistair Brownlee is in that group. Aaron Royle is in that group. So very strong lead group. We're at around, for our professional men, around kilometre 14 for our men. Aaron Royle now having to just try and bridge across. You can see that they are riding at around 60 kilometres an hour. Definitely great to see Yuri Kulin from the Netherlands at the front of this race after the disappointment of 2 weeks ago in San Remo, where unfortunately he went the wrong way. He didn't end up finishing, and I know he was bitterly disappointed with that. And it's very, very tough to try and get over where you go into a race in really good form, expecting, well, no one ever really expects to win, but knowing that you're in the sort of shape where a win is possible. And then to come away with a DNF, I know that he is really keen to put that race behind him and really do well here today. He's got the right attitude. One thing I've noticed about Yuri Kulin over the years, he's really matured as an athlete. You know, we tend to forget 25 is still very, very young. And sometimes I think we expect these athletes to have the mental capacity of a 35, 40-year-old. But some of these men and women, they're kids still in my eyes. They're very, very young. And it's very, very difficult sometimes to get over the disappointment when things don't go the way that you expect. So great to see Yuri out here again. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and I have no doubt that he will do everything in his power to have a really good race here today. And don't be surprised to definitely see him on top of that podium by the end of today. You can see our junior challenge. So a lot of our younger kids, we've got the junior So while our short, our Olympic distance race, our sprint distance race, which you can see up on screen right now, we also have a super sprint race that will take place, as well as the junior challenge. So many events going on throughout Sunday. Of course, on screen right now, Alistair Brownlee from Great Britain, the main event. So while we wait for the next of our races, our sprint distance race to start. So on the left of screen, our sprint distance athletes ready to go. On the right of screen, we have two-time Olympic gold medalist Alistair Brownlee riding at around, we've been told, upwards of 60 kilometres per hour. He's an incredible bike rider. We have missed seeing him on the race field. I think the last race we saw him at was the PTO European Open in Ibiza. He's been plagued with injury since then, but it's so great to have him back out on course right now here today in Barcelona. And they are away. So our sprint distance race is now also underway as they dive into those beautiful, clear waters here off the beach of Barcelona. Really interesting stat that we have here today. In our professional men's and women's field, we actually have 6 Olympians racing here today. Of course, leading the way, Alistair Brownlee. He's been to 3 Olympics, 2008, 2012, 2016. 2 gold medals and a 12th place. Aaron Royle, he's been to 2 Olympics, 2016 and 2021. Lucy Buckingham has been to 1 Olympic Games back in 2012 in London. Katie Kivior from Estonia has been to 2, 2016 and 2021. Sara Peréz Sala has been to the 2004 Olympics in Athens, where she was, of course, there as part of the 4x100 medley team that came 4th. And Cam Worth has been to 1 Olympics, also happens to be Athens in 2004. So both Sara Peréz Sala and Cam Worth going to the same Olympics, one as a swimmer and one as a rower, and now here racing today as a professional triathlete. So I think if I add that up correctly, it's around 10 Olympics that athletes here have been to. So not a bad stat for a race. We also know that a lot of the athletes racing here today, our professional athletes, are doing what we call the dirty double. So they're racing here today in Barcelona, and then next week at Challenge Mallorca, There are loads of athletes going to do both. I think Imogen Simmonds may even be doing all three: Barcelona, Mallorca, and our new one that we have in Italy, Challenge Ignacia. But we have Lucy Buckingham, Alistair Brownlee, Willie Hirsch, Jonathan Wayaf, Yuri Cullen, Kaidi Kiowa, Ernie Mantell, Colin Sush, Margie Santamaria, and Olivia Mitchell, all lining up next week in Mallorca for Challenge Mallorca. Another incredible field assembled there for that race. It is a sellout event for the professional field. We have over 60 professional men on the start line for Mallorca next week. I know Juan Abaca Castro, the race director, was quite worried about it. What do we do? I said, well, you know what, Juan, it's a pretty good problem to have a sellout professional field. But you can see a couple of little technical parts here on the course. While we were here with our professional men, we know with our professional women, it is still Lucy Buckingham and Sara Peréz Sala leading the way. They are at around the 15-kilometre mark. So Willie Hirsch, that was Alistair Brownlee and Aaron Royle. So we have that lead group of four with one other athlete just moving back. So still that lead group of 5 professional men. Yuri Cullen also up there, of course. Five laps. Great to see that they have now managed to really separate themselves. That it was always the first lap. I think it just takes a little bit of time for the men to separate themselves from each other. They know that it is the 20-metre rule being implemented today. So good to see that they're just starting to string out. We've still got Yuri Cullen on the front. He means business today. I can see a little bit of that anger from 2 weeks ago has certainly been taken into the race here today. Yuri, we told you earlier, based in Girona. He is actually a triplet, so one of 3. I met Yuri back when he was only 23 years of age, when he was racing over in Clash Miami, where he finished 4th. This year he's had some great results. He was 7th at the Challenge Family, the championship in Samarin. He was 5th at 70.3 Luxembourg, 6th at 70.3 World Championships, and I know that a really solid result here today would mean the world to him. So doing everything in his power to make sure that he keeps this pace up high, that really tries to hurt the legs of the men behind him. He knows the likes of Alistair Brownlee, Aaron Royle, very good runners. On right of screen, I never get tired of watching this woman ride a bike. She has such a beautiful position, such a fantastic time trial position. It was one of the first things I noticed when I first met Sara Peréz Sala. She just so incredibly aerodynamic. She is leading the way here today so far. She was third earlier this year at the championship in Shamar in Slovakia. She was seventh at the PTO Asian Open in Singapore. And I know she is definitely wanting to hit that top spot here today. She's not the fastest runner on paper here. We know that goes to Imogen Simmonds, but we also know Imogen has been a little sick. She's been a little bit under the weather with a bit of a cold. And if that just knocks a couple of % off her performance, then it makes this race a lot more open. Imogen Simmonds is the favourite, or on paper is the favourite to take the win, but right now is quite a way down on our lead two females, Lucy Buckingham and Sara Peréz Sala. These two women also know what to do. They work so incredibly well together. I've seen them do it time and time again at the championship. They swim together, they ride together, they work together legally to try and create that gap into transition, into T2 for the run. We know Caroline Pohl of Germany is in third, and she is closing that gap. So Caroline Pohl riding very, very well right now, only 27 seconds back. And right now, Imogen Simmonds in fourth, around 1:22 back. So she's made up a few seconds out of the swim, but really not making a lot of leeway on our leaders so far, but holding fourth place right now. So our top four women, we've got Lucy Buckingham and Sara Peréz Sala leading the way, 17 seconds back to Caroline Pohl from Germany, and 1:22 back to Imogen in fourth. But Caroline Pohl right now riding very, very well. She's from a swimming background as well. That was her original sport. She came across to the sport of triathlon. She's 28 years of age. And she's from Leipzig, so I know that she's Leipzig. She still likes to train there. The reason she got into the sport of triathlon because her swimming, or her performance in swimming, it just started to stagnate slightly. She just But Caroline Pohl, she was fifth place this year in Gran Canaria. She was second place at the championship in Shamar in Slovakia. I know she caught a few of us by surprise there this year, behind India Lee, who took the win. So a great race from Caroline at the championship. She is concentrating on this distance now, but she still likes to throw a hand in for a couple of the shorter distance races, and she does take part in the Bundesliga, which is a short distance series in Germany. And she loves mixing up the two distances. She won the famous German Buschütten Triathlon this year. It's always been a big race in Germany. Great shot there right now of Alistair Brownlee. He really is an absolute class act. There is not much this man has not done in his years in the sport. As I mentioned earlier, two-time Olympic gold medalist from London and Rio. He's got 3 wins over the full distance, 5 wins over the middle distance. He won Challenge Gran Canaria back in 2017. He was 6th this year at the PTO European Open in Ibiza. Been to 3 Olympic Games. 35 years of age. Self-coached right now, but of course has plenty of incredible advisors. He's been in the sport for something like 28 years. I mean, I thought I'd been in the sport for a long time, but that's got to be some sort of a record. He's based out of Leeds, but he's just one of those athletes that, you know, when he eventually does retire, we have lost someone truly incredible. It's like when we've lost Jan Frodeno this year. So we need Ali Brownlee to stay on, to hang around for a few more years, yet we can't lose all the good ones in one year, that's for sure. So great to see him back. I know he intends to stick around for quite some time. Fantastic news for us. We know the men are now onto their 3rd lap of 5 here, 60 kilometres. So really interesting distance that we have for our professional athletes here today. It's something we've spoken about for a while now in Challenge Family, just trying to mix it up just a little bit. Most of our races are either full distance or middle distance. So I was very excited when they announced that this race would be happening and it would be over this distance. I just think it adds that little extra bit of mystery. We've got a great mix of short course and long course athletes racing here today. 42 professional males right now on the bike. Picture perfect day in Barcelona. The only thing I would change right now is if I could tele-transport myself over to Barcelona, I would. It really is one of those incredible cities. Ali Brownlee was given the #1 bib here today, even though his PTO ranking isn't where you would think it would be. That's purely because he has not been able to race, but he more than deserves the #1 bib. We are expecting to see him right up there at the end of the day, even without any races under his belt. He's just such a champion. Yuri Cullen, Willie Hirsch and Aaron Royle, they are our top 4 right now in that order. We know that the 5th rider in that group is Nils Lorenz. So Nils Lorenz from Germany is part of this lead men's group of 5. Great conditions in the water today for all of our swimmers, as more and more of our sprint and super sprint athletes make their way to transition. Incredible to think that that water is currently sitting at around 23.5 degrees. Warmer than the air temperature. We are expecting the temperatures to get up to around 21 to 22 degrees Celsius today. So really perfect conditions for a triathlon. Wetsuits have been made optional for our age group athletes. As I mentioned earlier, 3,200 participants racing here today over a variety of distances from 57 different countries. One of the greatest things for me is so many women racing today. 30% increase from this time last year. The Barcelona Triathlon, it's been going for quite some time, but wonderful to see so many more women racing. And with so many different distances on offer, there really is something for everyone. So lap 3 right now, Yuri Cullen leading the way. We've been given reports out on course that Yuri Cullen and Alistair Brownlee are the two athletes really putting the pedal to the metal. They really are pushing the pace here and not allowing the pace to fall under around that 58 to 60 kilometre an hour mark. You've got Willie Hirsch, Aaron Royle and Nils Lorenz just staying there behind. But it's Yuri Cullen and Alistair Brownlee that are really playing the game. We know behind this group of 5, we've got Milan Bronze and Yannick Schaufer. So Milan Bronze, good to see him. He's also basing himself in Girona. He's lived there for quite some time now with his partner from the Netherlands, similarly to Yuri Cullen, both based now in Girona. Milan, of course, had a great race back in September at Challenge Almere at the European Long Distance Champs, where he finished in 3rd place. He was so incredibly happy with his performance, as he should be. It was a great performance from Milan. Great to see him doing so well and riding well here today, currently in 6th place behind this group right now, being led by Alistair Brownlee. The local organising committee really have done such a superb job in closing down these roads completely. So 60 kilometres of completely closed roads for our athletes here today. Wonderful to see. Great shots here of our lead men. While our lap 3 for our men, we know our women are on lap 2. There's been no change in our women's race. We still have Lucy Buckingham leading the way. She's got around 30 metres now over Sara, Peréz, Sala. Those two are still together, but it is Caroline Pohl from Germany who is now only 15 seconds down on our lead 2 women. So it's only a matter of time before Caroline Pohl catches our 2 leaders. Imogen Simmonds still holding 4th and making up small amounts of time. So now at about 1 minute 13 down on our leaders. And then we have Marta Sanchez around 2:26 down in 5th place. So Marta Sanchez, another of our Spanish athletes. So great to see her up there in the top 5. It'll be a quick turnaround for this man on screen, racing here today. He'll then make his way across to Mallorca for next weekend for Challenge Mallorca. Right now on screen, our lead female, Lucy Buckingham, rides for the Team BMC, coming back from a pretty awful injury that still She has to really try and manage a lower back injury, nerve injury. It's caused her an incredible amount of pain and grief. She's had a great year, I have to say, considering she now leads over Sara, Peréz, Sala. You can see Caroline Paul of Germany in third, Imogen Simmonds in fourth, and Marta Sanchez now in fifth. But Lucy Buckingham herself, a former Olympian, 31 years of age. She got a PTO ranking of 42. Her coach is her husband, Mark Buckingham. He's doing a wonderful, wonderful job with Lucy. She trains and leads at the triathlon centre there and gets to train with the likes of Georgia Taylor-Brown, Vix Holland. Big shout out to Vicky Holland, back racing again after giving birth to her first little baby girl. But great to have Vicky Holland back out racing. But these are the sorts of women that Lucy Buckingham surrounds herself with, so it's any wonder that she's as good as she is. She also trains with the likes of Tommy Bishop and Aaron Royle. Of course, non-Stanford, also part of that coaching group in Leeds. So a very, very strong group to be associated with. But it certainly has been a bumpy couple of years for Lucy with a herniated disc and nerve damage down her left leg. I know it's caused her an extraordinary amount of pain. She's still navigating some of that nerve damage. She has her good days and her bad days. And on top of that, she discovered that she had a really quite severe iron deficiency right around the 70.3 worlds. It really did knock her for 6. So she's got that back on track. And you can see right here, right now, showing no ill effects of that deficiency or that herniated disc problem. So great to see her. We know when Lucy Buckingham is on, she really is on. And so far looking very, very good here today. She's also racing Challenge Peguera Mallorca next year. We know that Lucy was second at Challenge Valsy in Austria. First place was, of course, Imogen Simmonds, also racing here today. So while our women are about to make their way onto lap 3 of 5 laps here for the bike course, our men have only 2 laps to go. Right now, this is when it will start to get a little bit tricky for our professional athletes. They will start passing some of our age group athletes taking part in the Olympic sprint and super sprint events. Slightly different courses for them. Obviously, the professional men's and women's course, the loops are much longer. Great shot there of Yuri Kulin. We know he means business here today. He knows, he will be well aware that he has got some exceptional runners riding with him. One of those being Aaron Royle, PTO ranked 20, coached by Dan Plews. Of course, we know that Aaron Royle was with Joel Filiol for many, many years in his short course career. Since moving across to the longer distances, he started with Dan Plews this year. He is also one of those athletes, like Alistair Brownlee, has been in the sport for a long time now. I think coming up to 21, 22 years. Bases himself mainly in Leeds, but also once home in Wollongong, which is actually where I was born, believe it or not. So it's funny to think that Wollongong's had become such a mecca for triathlon. I was born there, moved to Sydney, and of course now live here in Queensland. As the first of our sprint distance athletes, our winner here today makes it across the finish line. One of our athletes from the Czech Republic. That's the CEO of Challenge Family. Of course, always at every race that he can go to, he will be there. Jort Flam, always down on the finish line to congratulate the athletes as they come across the finish line. I know he was just as excited about this race taking place here this weekend as I was. Big smile on his face. The first of many athletes that will make their way under the red arch here today. Spectacular conditions so far. But going back to Aaron Royle, he raced short course from 2009 till last year, including 2 Olympic Games. He was 9th in Rio. He made the switch full-time to middle distance in June last year after winning Challenge Wales, and then realised that it was a distance that really did suit him and decided to do it full-time. So he gave up short course triathlon. Had a really successful first year with a 3rd place at the PTO Canadian Championship, so PTO Championships in Canada, 7th at the PTO US Open. And he really has made quite a few improvements over the year and is just starting to see that consistency over all 3 disciplines. He was 2nd at the championship in May, 3rd at Challenge Gran Canaria. He was 2nd at Challenge Samarkand, currently 6th place in the Challenge Family World Bonus, but we know a win here today will catapult him up into 3rd place overall. He is also racing Challenge Vubaku in a couple of weeks' time, so another good result there. And we have a race on our hands for that top spot on our World Bonus. Of course, the Challenge Family End of Year World Bonus currently being led by Caleb Noble from Australia. Big shout out to Caleb. Currently leading. I have a feeling he will be watching this race from wherever he is right now. Probably hoping that Aaron Royle doesn't take that top spot, but I think Caleb doesn't need to worry. He's got this top spot not 100% secured, but pretty close to it. So I think even if Aaron Royle was to win today and also in 2 weeks' time in Vubaku, I think he would still end up just possibly behind Caleb. We know we have Challenge Canberra at the end of November, another chance or the last opportunity for Caleb to make some points towards that world bonus. So always a good race to have up his sleeve, depending on what happens here today in a couple of weeks' time. Great shot there of Willie Hirsch on the left and our lead female, Lucy Buckingham, on the right. Willie Hirsch, he has 2 middle distance wins to his name. Went 70.3 Poznan, 70.3 Guinea this year. He was second at Knockerhaste as well, so he's had a great year so far, 2 firsts and a second. He was third at the Barcelona Triathlon. Well, we have a great shot there of our leader, Lucy Buckingham. We know Sara Peréz Sala still holds second. Carolyn Poland in. Just waiting to get an update on where Carolyn is. So while we are back with our professional men, just a bit of an update. That looks like there could be a little bit of an issue for local favourite Sara Peréz Sala. We're trying to get confirmation on that, but I have been given reports that was looking a little bit sick on the bike, wasn't herself, which is so disappointing. She looked fantastic in those previous shots that we had of her on the bike, looking in control, sitting around 20 to 30 metres back of Lucy Buckingham. But for now, we're being given reports that she may have had to drop out of the race. We know that she did just come down from altitude. She was training up in Sierra Nevada, which is up in altitude. I've been there before. Spectacular place to train. Very, very difficult place to train, but just brilliant. She was taking a bit of a gamble. She knew that, only coming down from altitude 48 hours prior. So if that is indeed true, Sara Peréz Sala, the local favourite, may be out. She definitely is no longer in second position. That is Carolyn Pohl of Germany, who now holds second. Carolyn Pohl has now managed to ride her way up to Lucy. So for the first time ever, while we are with our lead professional men, in our lead professional women, we have a different leader on course. Carolyn Pohl of Germany is now leading the women's race, with Lucy Buckingham hot on her heels. In third, we have Imogen Simmonds, and in fourth, Marta Sanchez. So that is the top 4 professional women as they stand right now on course. Right now with our men, Alistair Brownlee leading the way. We know Yuri Kulin and Alistair Brownlee have been doing the lion's share of the work. As we're back down at our finish line for our first female sprint distance athlete across the finish line. Wonderful work. So our top 5 professional men, Alistair Brownlee from Great Britain, Yuri Kulin from the Netherlands. Both of these men doing all the work. 50-50, we've been told. Sharing it right down the middle. We've got Willi Hirsch from Germany currently in third, Aaron Royle of Australia in fourth, and Niels Lorenz. Haven't spoken much about Niels Lorenz, but having a great race, just holding onto the back there in fifth place. I don't know too much about Niels, but definitely having a very, very good day and will be very happy with the company that he is holding right now. Our professional men on lap 4 of 5 laps. So not too long to go now before we see them make their way to transition. Our professional men and women today vying for a €25,000 prize purse. Also, our top 6 professional men and women automatically qualifying for the championship in the Shammer in Slovakia next year. And valuable points towards our end-of-year Challenge Family World Bonus. Our men are on their final lap. But here now back with our professional women and our new leader, Carolyn Paul from Germany, having a wonderful day here today. Such strong riding from the German. She really did have a very, very good race earlier this year in May at the championship. Right now on screen, it is Carolyn Pohl leading the way. Lucy Buckingham in second. Imogen Simmonds, great to see she's made her way up into third place. I dare say Imogen will just keep ticking away. We know that she's coming into this race probably not at 100%. She was suffering from a little bit of a head cold. It's just going to knock her back that 1 or 2%. Marta Sanchez holding fourth, and Margie Santamaria. So great to see Margie Santamaria from Italy up into fifth. She's a wonderful supporter of the Challenge Family races. Love seeing her up in the top 5. She was third at the inaugural Challenge Samarkand in Uzbekistan not too long ago. That was, of course, won by Ellie Salthouse from Australia, in second place, Emma Pallant-Brown. But Margie, always just a consistent, solid athlete every time she races. She was ninth at Challenge Roth back in the middle of the year. So wonderful to see her having another solid race here today in Barcelona. She is also heading to Mallorca with most of this field next week. So we are now at the northernmost turning point of the bike course here on the last lap. Pace is still at around that 55 to 60 kilometre mark. So Yuri Kulin and Alistair Brownlee making sure that that pace does not drop. So while our men are on their way now back to transition, 60 kilometres almost completed. Our women still have a lap to go. And we do know that Imogen Simmonds is starting to really reel in our leaders. So Carolyn Pole still leading the way with Lucy Buckingham close behind. And Imogen Simmonds holding third. Only around 45 seconds down now on our leaders. And it might just be the case, I know when you are suffering from a little bit of a head cold, when you're just not feeling 100%, it often takes you just that little bit longer to find that rhythm, to get into that groove. And it looks like Imogen Simmonds just taken a little bit longer today to find that rhythm, that race rhythm. And now that she's starting to find it, you can see that she's starting to take chunks of time out of our leaders. So 45 seconds down. I believe she was around 127 down from our leader, Lucy Buckingham, out of the swim. And she's now managed to get that down again. We know Marta Sanchez is in fourth, around 2 minutes 23 down. So quite a large gap back to fourth. But right now, our lead men, the 5 of them, they've been together from the early stages of this bike ride. Willie Hirsch led the way out of the swim. This group formed fairly quickly, and none of them have been able to get rid of them. Yuri getting a little bit frustrated there. We know that he has done the lion's share of the work. He just needs to stay calm. At the end of the day, he can only do what he can do. He just needs to concentrate on himself and not worry about what the men are doing behind him. He's had Alistair Brownlee helping him all day long. But these men are less than 10 kilometres to go, so not long now before we see them make their way back to the athletics track. A little early to be making predictions right now, but we can safely assume that this group of 5 will be entering transition together. We know the fastest runners on paper, or the fastest runner, is definitely Aaron Royle out of this group, but we also know that Alistair Brownlee is an incredible runner himself. Yuri Kulin also very strong. So we could have a very interesting running race on our hands as these men make their way back to T2. So many of our age group athletes getting ready now for the next lot of races. Big smiles on everyone's faces. They know it's a great day. Beautiful conditions down there. The temperatures started to warm up. I think at 6 a.m. this morning it was 19 degrees Celsius. We know that it's heating up to around 21 to 22 degrees. The water nice and warm. Europe really is having an incredible summer this year. Great to see so many spectators lining the wall up there. We know that there are spectators over the entire course. We do expect that run course for our professional athletes to be packed with spectators. 15 kilometres in total. We are back with our women's leader here today. She wasn't too far behind our two leaders, Sara, Peréz, Sala, who unfortunately is no longer in the race today. It'll be interesting to find out what the cause of this is. But for those that don't know Sara very well, she does suffer from a bit of a stomach condition. It's plagued her for a lot of her career, unfortunately. So it'll be interesting to see if that is indeed what has been the case this year. So she suffers from ulcerative colitis, and she did have it quite badly when she was up in Sierra Nevada just training, but she's really hoping not to have any problems with it in the race. She went as far to say that she is actually crossing her fingers, so it's something that she's really had to try and manage throughout her career. So it'll be interesting to see if that has indeed been the case here today, that has flared up on her. And I know it causes her a significant amount of pain when it does. Great to see Lucy Buckingham still pushing the pace up front with Carolyn. Fastest runner out of our professional women is definitely Imogen Simmonds. And Carolyn Pole would be the next fastest, followed by Lucy Buckingham, on paper, of course. But we can't discount Marta Sanchez from Spain as well, also very strong runner. So great to see so many Spanish athletes actually racing here today. We have got, obviously, with the withdrawal of Sara, Peréz, Sala, we've got Marta Sanchez, Helene Alberti also racing. We've got Steffi Lebenzik, so Laura Gomez Ramon. So great to see so many of our local Spanish athletes racing here. Marta Sanchez, the best of them right now, in 5th place. You can see in the background those flags are starting to fly a little bit more, so the wind is starting to pick up, and there's no doubt that they will be feeling the effects of this on the final lap here for our professional men and our professional women. We know that our professional women are now on their final lap, so 5th and final lap. They're at kilometre 49, so just over that 10 kilometres to go, while our men are at 5 kilometres to go. So not long now before our men make their way into transition. What I'd do to be a fly on the back of that lead men's group right now. I'm sure they're all jostling for positions. It's been a fast and furious bike ride for our lead group of men. They know that the run is going to be at lightning speed. It's not 21.1 kilometres this time, it's only 15. It just completely changes the dynamic and the mindset. And you'd have to say that 15 kilometres for sure suits the likes of someone like Aaron Royle, with such an incredible short course background, but also now really doing very, very well over the middle distance. 15 kilometres, I'm really looking forward to seeing just what sort of a run pace these men are going to be running as they head out of transition. And while we know this man on screen right now, Alistair Brownlee, in his day was one of the greatest runners on the planet, of course there's a little bit of a question mark over his head. This is his first race back in months and months and months. He's had injury after injury and just setback after setback. But we know if he is here now, then he is ready. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what sort of run pace we're going to see out of transition for that first kilometre. So we can see getting ready now, feet out, getting prepared to enter transition. You've got Yuri Kulin right behind, the two men that have been doing the lion's share of the work here today. 60K done and dusted for our professional men. Alistair Brownlee will be first into transition, followed by Yuri Kulin. There he is on screen right now. We've got Willie Hirsch right with him as well. The young German. We know that Aaron Royle should not be too far behind, but right now, Alistair Brownlee leading the way, Yuri Kulin in second, and Willie Hirsch in third as they make their way along the red carpet into transition. It is a long transition run. They need to make their way back down onto that athletics track and into the field. So we know that it is around that 300 to 400 metre mark. Aaron Royle just a little bit off the back there. So you can see that right towards the end of that bike ride, just that's the smallest of gaps. But this can make a really big difference coming into transition. Just simple gaps like that. We know Niels Lorenz, that's him on the back there. So our top four. And you can see just in the background now, that little bit of a gap has formed between Aaron and this lead group. It may be a blessing in disguise for Aaron, because I am sure that these four, it is going to be a fast and furious transition. And they are going to want to just get out of there as quickly as possible. Shoes go on. Something these short course athletes are very, very good at. And something in the shoe. So that was a little bit of a mishap for Alistair. Grabs his stuff, sunglasses go on, and he is out. Looks like Willie Hirsch will be first out of transition. So he was first into T1 and he is now first out of T2. Alistair Brownlee is next. We've got Yuri Kulin also now out. And then our fifth and final, Niels Lorenz from Germany. So our two Germans up there, and Aaron Royle. Sorry, that was fourth for Niels and fifth for Aaron Royle. Great racing from this German, Wilhelm Hirsch. He's had such a smart race so far. Didn't see him with his head in the wind too many times on that bike. And now running very, very well in the early stages of the run here today in Barcelona. They have 3 loops to complete. You can see right now they run down to the far end of the beach, along the foreshore here, so right parallel with the beach. And then they will loop around and come back. 5-kilometre loops done 3 times for our professional men and women, 15 kilometres in total. So Alistair Brownlee first in to transition, Yuri Kulin from the Netherlands in second, Willie Hirsch from Germany in third, now leading the way here on the early stages of the run. Niels Lorenz also from Germany in fourth, and Aaron Royle of Australia rounding out that top 5. I'll be really interested to see the run form or the run shape of the likes of Alistair Brownlee. Hasn't raced at all for quite some time, whereas every other athlete right now here in this top 5 has been racing all season long. As I mentioned, on paper, Aaron Royle certainly the fastest of these 5. And while we are with our lead male, we know that our professional women are making their way now back to transition as well. Big news in the women's race. Imogen has just caught our front 2 women. So Imogen Simmonds just taking that little bit longer today to find her groove, but has well and truly found it right now. and is now leading the women's race as they make their way back to transition. So she is with our leaders, Carolyn Pohl from Germany and Lucy Buckingham from Great Britain. Imogen Simmonds has now caught these women, and those three women will come into transition together. So 1 kilometre done for our professional men, 14 kilometres left to go. Willie Hirsch still leading the way. We know Alistair Brownlee right there. As I said it, yep, Alistair Brownlee right behind. Is there anything this man cannot do? And what would it mean to him? First race back in months and months. And to be able to come away with the win, I'm sure that'll be something pretty special for Ali. Big smiles for our finishers here today. Great racing from our age group athletes. This is what we love to see. Now that is a smile and a half. I have a feeling a lot of enjoyment out there today. Beautiful conditions. Over 3,000 or just on 3,200 age group and professional athletes racing across quite a few different distances. Our super sprint, our aquathon, our sprint distance, our Olympic distance, our junior challenge. And of course, what we're all here for as well, the professional race. We know our professional women right now at kilometre 57. So 3 kilometres left for our professional women. We have 3 women coming in together. You can see right now, Alistair Brownlee, this is where he shows just all of his 28 years of experience. He didn't go crazy out of transition. He didn't try to catch Willie Hirsch as quickly as possible. He just went at his own pace, kept it under control. Look at that run form. I mean, I could watch this man run all day long. Really, he's truly spectacular to watch. And he's doing everything that we know Alistair Brownlee is capable of doing. He took his time. He has now caught and passed our early leader. Hats off to Wilhelm Hirsch, though. What a race he has had here today and continues to have here today. But there is no denying Alistair Brownlee. Are we seeing him back at his best? I really do hope so. He's one of those athletes where it's just, you want him on your race course. And luckily for us, we get to see him do it all over again next week in Majorca over the middle distance. Another one of our age group races starts here today. This professional race is really starting to heat up. Waiting, won't be long before our professional women make their way back into transition. What a sight to behold. Over 3,000 age group athletes swimming right now. Fantastic sight. We know that our professional women are making their way. They are very, very close to hitting transition. We will try and get you coverage of that as soon as we can. But our top 3 professional women are together. Imogen Simmonds from Switzerland, Carolyn Pohl from Germany, and Lucy Buckingham, our leader since the start of this race this morning at 2 minutes past 8. So our top 3 women are on their way, almost at transition. Alistair Brownlee leading our men's race, really looking like he is completely into his groove right now. Absolutely no signs of any sort of injury that we know he's been dealing with over the last year. I was lucky enough to catch up with Ali Brownlee and his brother Johnny when I was last in Europe, in London at a Phoenix camp. He came, both his brother and himself, came to talk to some of the young athletes that we had there. You could see the stars in these athletes' eyes, that they were able to talk to the great Alistair Brownlee, Jonathan Brownlee, and Nicholas Spirig also there. It was a wonderful day. And I have to say, the Brownlee boys, fantastic speakers. I love the way that they give up their time. They've got so much to say. They've got so much great information to give. They've been in the sport for such a long time. But right now, back with our women's race, right before they're about to hit T2, we've got Lucy Buckingham, Carolyn Pohl on screen now. That is Imogen Simmonds from Switzerland. What a great second half of the bike she has had here today. I spoke to her early in the week. She was a little nervous. She knew that she was coming in with a little bit of a head cold. She didn't feel 100%. And often that's all it takes, you know, that 1 to 2% that you just don't have. You cannot afford to come into a race of this caliber and not be firing. But she said she had such a great attitude. She's like, you know, sometimes I've had race with a cold and I've had a lousy day. Other times I've done it and I've had a great day. She goes, I'm going to make sure today is a great day. I know her partner Dan is down on ground supporting her. They've been training in Girona, so they've been basing themselves in Girona as well, along with a cast of thousands. Girona is such a great place, a triathlete's paradise. It's where I love to base myself when I'm in Europe. Certainly not for the training, more for the coffee, but still a beautiful place to go. Absolutely love it there. But Lucy Buckingham from Great Britain leading the way. It's always great to see these athletes that you know have struggled with injury. So similarly to Alistair Brownlee, we know Lucy Buckingham has had a terrible problem with herniated disc and nerve-related pain. Great to see her back right at the pointy end of the field. She's been up the front ever since this race started this morning. She's going to come into transition in first place. Imogen Simmonds now in second spot with Carolyn Pohl in third. Wonderful racing from this German lady as well. So they are in. They will start now the long run along the red carpet down to the track. But you would have to think that the podium is right here. We know that it's about 220 to 230, 223, I think to be exact, back to Marta Sanchez from Spain, who is currently in fourth. And if these 3 women on screen right now run to their potential, I cannot see them being caught. So right here, right now, should be the battle for those top 3 spots. Whoop. A little bit of manoeuvring there for Imogen Simmonds around that corner. It is quite a long run, one of the longer runs that you'll have in a triathlon. So as they make their way into transition, helmets will come off, running shoes will go on. We know that on paper, Imogen Simmonds is the fastest of the three, but we also know that she is not at 100%. And that might be all these other two women need. I can see Joseph Ballina in the background, one of the core team for Challenge Family, getting the perfect shot for our updates. He's been one of our spotters out on course as well, feeding through to me all the valuable information. Oh, a little bit of a mishap there for Carolyn as she drops a little bit of nutrition, picks it up quickly. And the three top women are out. Lucy Buckingham leading the way, Imogen Simmonds in second, and Carolyn Poll. We have a running race on our hands right now. Fabulous riding from these three women. As more of our professional men make their way into transition. Interesting things happening here in the men's race as well. While Alistair Brownlee leads, we do know that Yuri Kulin is now in second place. So Yuri Kulin from the Netherlands running very, very well. I knew he was going to come into this race with a little bit of a fire in his belly after the disappointment of not being able to finish 2 weeks ago in San Remo. I know he was bitterly disappointed. He was going into that race with some very good form. But luckily for him, he gets to show it all again today. There've been no wrong turns made today. He's done everything right so far. So currently, Alistair Brownlee leading the way. Yuri Kulin from the Netherlands in second, and Willie Hirsch still holding third. So William Hirsch still running very, very well. It's only around 10 seconds. So 10 seconds is the gap between Alistair Brownlee and Yuri Kulin right now. Behind these three, we know that Aaron Royle and Niels Lorenz are losing time quite quickly. So isn't that an interesting stat? We know on paper that Aaron Royle is the fastest runner of these five, yet he is losing time and is now a minute back. So already a minute down on our leader here on screen. And Niels Lorenz even further back behind. So Aaron Royle holding fourth place, but a minute down on our leader. But we have a very tight race between Alistair Brownlee, Yuri Kulin, and Willie Hirsch. Will the lack of racing play a part in the latter stages of this race here today for the likes of Alistair Brownlee? Yuri Kulin just needs to make sure that elastic band does not break. 10 seconds means he can see Alistair. He needs to have eyes on the back of Alistair. You can hear all of the supporters. Alistair Brownlee, a very, very popular athlete. Whoops. Geez, that reminded me of Ibiza, to be honest. The last time Alistair raced, when you had a spectator walk across him. You must be thinking, what am I doing wrong here? But luckily for Alistair, mishap avoided. I think sometimes these spectators have zero idea just how quickly these professional athletes are running. You can see on screen, very flat and fast. We know that the run times today will be fast. It is a flat course. The conditions are perfect for fast runs, 21 to 22 degrees Celsius. Beautiful conditions. 3 laps, 3 lots of 5K loops for our professional men and women. You can see the splits on screen right now. Aaron Royle down in fourth. Has lost over a minute now on Alistair Brownlee, but it is Yuri Kulin still only around 10 seconds down. Willie Hirsch just under a further 10 seconds down. But not much in it so far for our top three professional men. Look at that run form of Alistair Brownlee. It is absolutely poetry in motion. While we have our top five professional men up on screen, we know that Milan Brons from the Netherlands also having a very strong race. Currently in sixth. He spent most of the day riding, swimming and riding solo. So great day for Milan Brons after having that incredible race at Challenge Almere in early September. So hopefully he can manage to hold on to that sixth place finish. He'll get points towards the world bonus, and he will also get that last lot of prize money. So speaking of the prize money, €25,000 paying top six. First place walks away with €4,500. Second place, €3,000. Third place, €2,000. Fourth place, €1,500. Fifth place, €1,000. And sixth place, €500. So just to give you some of the stats of this superstar right now on screen, leading the inaugural Challenge Barcelona. 2 Olympic gold medals from London and Rio. 3 full distance wins. 5 half distance wins. He's done just about everything there is to do in the short course world of racing. And almost everything in the long distance world of racing as well, to be honest. He's a 2-time triathlon world champion, 5-time European triathlon champion. He's been runner-up at the 70.3 world champions on 2 occasions. And we know he's been to 3 Olympic Games, of which he has won the gold medal at 2 of those. So, incredible career. The Brownlee brothers will be remembered forever and a day in the sport of triathlon, long after they hang up their running shoes, to absolutely superb competitors. He's got his work cut out for him though, because we know right behind him, Yuri Kulin from the Netherlands is really running like a man possessed right now. We believe that that gap is down there. We're going to see now. So that's that turn. Let's see. Yep, there is Yuri Kulin just gone past. So it's probably still around that 10-second mark, maybe a little less. But it certainly hasn't blown out at all. So Yuri Kulin definitely meaning business here today. It might be Alistair Brownlee leading, but he doesn't care. Great for Ali to get eyes on his competition, know exactly where Yuri Kulin and Wilhelm Hirsch are. But you can see now that gap back to 4th and 5th has really started to open up. Just a little update on our professional women while we are here with our professional men. We do know that Imogen Simmonds is leading. She was the fastest on paper. Thanks to Torsten Radet for supplying me with all of my stats and numbers. So Imogen Simmonds now leading the way in our professional women's race. Lucy Buckingham holding second place, around 20 seconds in arrears. And Carolyn Pohl in third. So that is an update for our women out on course. We know that Yuri Kulin is renowned for running a faster second half of the run than he does the first. So right now, what he needs to do is just keep eyes on the back of this man on screen and just try to keep that 8 to 10 second gap where it is. And will he be able to negative split this 15K run here today? Alistair still looking fantastic on screen. I'm not even going to try and critique his run technique because there's nothing really there for me to critique. It's about as perfect as you can get, to be honest. That it must be such a great feeling for Alistair Brownlee right now to have had so many months out of the sport, so many ups and downs, get over one injury, then another appears, get over that injury, then another appears. And to be out doing what we know he loves, and he's always loved to race. So to see him out here today at the inaugural Challenge Barcelona, leading and doing it in style, well, it's putting a huge smile on my face, that's for sure. So lots of support for both Alistair Brownlee and Yuri Kulin out on course. Yuri, almost a local these days. He's been based in Girona for quite some time now. He loves training there. So, Alistair Brownlee about to complete another lap. And while we know that Alistair Brownlee leads the way, he'll get another opportunity now to see exactly where his competition is. And it looks like it is starting to open up. So that was definitely longer than 10 seconds. And it looked like Willie Hirsch and Yuri Kulin were not too far apart from each other, but that gap of 10 seconds has definitely opened up. We know Aaron Royle still holding fourth, while Nils Lorenz is in fifth. Big news out on course, unfortunately, for Milan Bronze. He did have a great swim bike. He did come in off the bike in sixth, but he's not having a great day when it comes to the run. So unfortunately for Milan Bronze, he has already dropped from 6th to 11th, just not having his day on the run. And that often is the case after having a really great race in Challenge Almere, which was a full distance, the European long distance championships. Often it can take just that little bit longer to get those run legs back. So a little bit of disappointment for Milan Bronze. But it is looking, as this run goes on, it is looking more and more likely that this man on screen right now is making his way to an unsaleable lead at the front. I cannot see unless something goes drastically wrong for Ali Brownlee. Of course, it's never over till it's over, but 15 kilometres, you'd have to imagine that he will be able to hold it together. He still looks so in control, so comfortable. One of the most experienced athletes that we have on course. He's been in the sport of triathlon now for 28 years. He loves to race. We love him to race. But it's around 10 seconds, the gap between Ali and Yuri. A little bit more maybe, but it's still, as I said, I've learnt my lesson to not call a race early. Definitely Alistair Brownlee looking like he is in the hot seat right now. But we know that Yuri Kulin, Willie Hirsch a little further back, so Willie having lost a little bit more time. You know that he's around 40 seconds down now on Alistair Brownlee. So right now, I think if we can get that camera to move back just a little bit, it's been focused on our leader, Alistair Brownlee. We haven't been able to get a good look of what's been going on behind. Thankfully, I have got great spotters down on ground letting me know that there are fireworks right now, as you can see, about to take place. Yuri Kulin just passing Lucy Buckingham, who's in second place for our women. But Yuri Kulin is about to run up to and onto the shoulder of our leader, Alistair Brownlee. So I thought that gap had grown out just to around that 15-second mark, but indeed it was going the other way from 10 seconds to 5 seconds. And so great to finally see it now on camera. But look at this, we have got a running race on our hands right now between the young 25-year-old, 25 years of age, Yuri Kulin, and of course Alistair Brownlee, 10 years his senior at 35 years of age. But beautiful running from Yuri Kulin. We knew he came into this race a little angry, a little frustrated. He showed us a couple of times on the bike that he was a little frustrated as well, but right now we have a new leader in our race here, Yuri Kulin from the Netherlands at only 25 years of age. And Alistair Brownlee not letting him go anywhere. We know Alistair Brownlee is not going to let him just go. We know that he will do everything in his power to stay with him. But when we were talking about the distance for this race and coming up with the numbers, this is what we wanted to see. This is what we hoped for. But we wanted it to come down to the last lap of the run. To be honest, I thought we were going to be watching Aaron Royle and Alistair Brownlee doing exactly what we're seeing on screen now. Instead, it's the youngster Yuri Kulin and Ali Brownlee. And this is where I think it'll be interesting to see what Ali is able to do here. We know he is a brilliant athlete. He's one of the greatest the world of triathlon has ever seen, but we also know that he has zero race practice over the last few months. He's coming back from injury. This is his first race back from an extended period of injury. Whereas we've got Yuri Kulin, has been racing well all season. He had such a great race at the 70.3 World Champs in Finland, where he finished in 6th place, one of the best races of his career so far. He then went to San Remo 2 weeks ago and was unable to finish. He was frustrated. He's bringing that frustration into this race. He knows he's in good form. And right now we are getting a show and a half. Two hours 14:32 on the clock. But what a show these two men are putting on for all of the spectators down on ground today. Plenty of people cheering them on. Both athletes looking really, really good. Yuri Kulin, nice and relaxed. 10 years difference between the two athletes. Yuri literally only just turned 25 not too long ago. Alistair Brownlee, 35. We know that Yuri Kulin's been in the sport for 10 years now. Alistair Brownlee in the sport for 28. Both come from a short course background. Yuri Kulin himself also from a short course background. Realised that his strengths lay in the longer distances. But these two men, less than 5 kilometres to run. They are on their third and final lap here. Well, we have got a race and a half on our hands here right now in our women's race. Imogen Simmonds still leading the way in the women's race over Lucy Buckingham. Carolyn Pole are now 53 seconds in arrears, holding third place. Could we see a sprint finish here today? So less than 5K to go. Is Alistair Brownlee able to stay on the heels of Yuri Kulin? We know experience-wise, he definitely has what it takes. He's been in this position more times than I can count. Is it going to come down to the final kilometre? Are we going to see a sprint finish along that red carpet all the way to that finish line? But we could not have asked for a better case scenario than what we are seeing right on screen now. That's probably the only little part of rise in the entire course. So the tiny little rise. The rest of the course here today, deadpan flat. But they are now making their way down to the far turn of the course. Once they make that final turn, they will be on their way home. So around 2.5 kilometres to go at that point. It's hard for me to say who's looking the most comfortable, to be honest. At first, I thought it was Yuri when he ran up to the shoulder of Alistair Brownlee. And it looked like Alistair was just struggling ever so slightly. But right now, it really is difficult to tell. Both men still looking really good, really relaxed. As I said, Alistair Brownlee has so much experience when it comes to this sort of racing. Yuri Kulin as well. Not as many years, of course, but both coming from short course backgrounds. They would be used to racing shoulder to shoulder. Yuri not so much in the last few years, the same with Ali Brownlee, having switched over to the longer distances. As you can see there, really smart move from Alistair Brownlee to go in front of Yuri before that hairpin turn. And that's just showing the years of experience that this man has when it comes to racing. But they are now on their way home. Alistair checking his watch just to see what sort of pace they are holding. It'll be interesting to see if there's any fun and games taking place in the next couple of kilometres. We know it is not long at all for these men before they make their way up to the red carpet. Both are brilliant sprinters. I would not want to put a bet on who is the better of the two when it comes to sprinting. You'd have to say that Yuri Kulin has the race experience right now in that he has been racing all season long. Ali, on the other hand, has not. But if you're a betting person, I don't know, I think I'd be hedging my bet 50-50, betting each way here, just to be safe. We know Willie Hirsch is still in third. He's dropped off, but looking comfortable to hold on to that third place so far. Aaron Royle, last check, was still in fourth. But we'll try and get an update from behind. But right now, right here, we know it is going to be between these two, as it looks like Yuri trying everything he can to create that little bit of a gap, but Ali Brownlee is not having a bar of it. I tell you, I have been wanting and praying for a sprint finish like this all year long. So to be here right now, calling it, I'm going to have a very hard time trying to sleep tonight, that's for sure. Fantastic racing from these two men. Every time Yuri Kulin tries to create some sort of a gap, Ali Brownlee is right onto the back of him, right up on his heels. I'd love to get a front view of their facial expressions right now. You can see that Alistair Brownlee really is breathing quite heavily, which you'd expect. They are running ridiculously fast times right now. Yuri Kulin looking still so composed. Breathing is controlled, shoulders are relaxed, as are Ali Brownlee's. I really can't pick it. I cannot pick it. But what a treat for triathlon fans around the world right now, down on course in Barcelona, one of the greatest cities in the world. The inaugural Challenge Barcelona, the first time it has been run, and we are getting a show of a lifetime with these two men. When do they decide? When does Yuri, when does Ali decide to just hang in there and wait for the finish? Wait for that sprint along the red carpet? Do they back it off and wait for that? Or does Yuri keep the pace going in hope that he can just crack Ali? Or vice versa? I mean, the mental games that must be going on in both of these athletes' heads right now. This is incredible.
poca Spagna aquí.
Still side by side. So we know now they are on their way to the finish. Both of these men are racing next weekend in Mallorca at Challenge Peguera Mallorca. It's a sellout field for our professional men's race. Over 62 athletes racing. And look at this, for the first time in this race, we can see a gap. It looks like Yuri Kulin has decided to go. This is what we were waiting for. This is the move we've been waiting for. And Yuri Kulin has decided it is time. And look at that. He has created just enough of a gap. Is there anything that Alistair Brownlee can do right now? I'm not sure there is. Yuri Kulin, he has really increased the pace and has decided it is now or never. Now or never. So we know less than 2 kilometres left to run here for our professional men. Yuri Kulin takes a quick close look back, trying to work out exactly how much time they have got to the finish line. We know it is not far, hence why Yuri Kulin has decided it is now or never. The thing is, once you make that decision, you have to absolutely commit 100%. It can't be a half-ditched effort. It needs to be all in or all out. And right now, Yuri Kulin is all in. So the last kilometre coming up for Yuri Kulin. He's created that gap between himself and Ali Brownlee. It looks like there is nothing that Alistair can do right now. And having not been able to race for so many months, we knew that he would be lacking a little bit of that top end speed that you can really only get through racing. We know this man on screen now has had a great year. He's been able to race. He's had no issues. He's in great form. Took that last little look round. I don't think he can quite believe it himself. But there is no looking back for Yuri Kulin as he makes his way towards the finish line here in Barcelona. So it looks more and more likely that Alistair Brownlee will need to settle for second place here today. Not bad considering he hasn't raced since the PTO European Open in Ibiza. And right now, Yuri will be running purely on adrenaline. It's an incredible feeling, I think. He still can't quite trust himself. He still has to have that little look behind. As much it is a wonderful feeling right now when you are leading the race, when you know that that finish line is ever so close, it's also frightening, particularly when it's the likes of Alistair Brownlee, one of the greatest triathletes the world has ever seen, is the one that you're trying to run desperately away from. One more look over his shoulder just to be 100% sure as he makes his way onto the red carpet. But Yuri Cullen from the Netherlands, 25 years of age. What an incredible race. He is over the moon. Brilliant, brilliant racing from the young Dutchman as he takes the win here today at the inaugural Challenge Barcelona. Extremely happy person on the finish line. Great race. His partner there to greet him on the finish line. Alistair Brownlee across in second. Wonderful comeback race from Alistair Brownlee. Penultimate professional. Celebrates with Yuri. But it's this young man's day today. Yuri Cullen getting the crowd revved up as he should. He's a very, very happy young Dutchman right now. This will give Yuri so much confidence going into next week's race. Alistair Brownlee, well, you know what he can do now. That's the first race done and dusted. It wasn't the win, but it was the next best thing. And it's a stepping stone for Ali to get him back to where we know he can be and will be. He gets to do it all again next week in Mallorca. The two of them get to go head-to-head again. But this time there will be plenty more incredible male athletes that they will have to race against as well. Coming home in third place, Willi Hirsch from Germany. Great race from him. He was solid all day long, led the swim, was up there all day on the bike. And a solid run to finish the day, taking that final spot on the podium. We really could not have asked for more for the race, the inaugural Challenge Barcelona. I called it earlier today. I really think this race is going to be one of the greatest Challenge family events on the calendar moving forward. But Yuri Cullen, 2:29.15. Alistair Brownlee in second, 2:29.36. And Willi Hirsch in third, 2:30.55. Super close racing from these three professional men. We do know that we should be seeing Aaron Royle coming across the line in fourth. We haven't been given an update yet. Right now on screen, Yuri Cullen with his partner, Imogen Cotter, a professional cyclist herself. Great to see her here at the race supporting Yuri. She's an incredible woman herself, having come back from an unbelievable, life-threatening accident on the bike. So wonderful to see her there. She's back racing again. Beautiful photo on the finish line of the two of them, but two extraordinary athletes. I knew that Yuri was coming into this race a little bit upset with what had happened in San Remo. We had a bit of a chat and said all you can do is turn up to the next race. As we see Jonathan Waif also coming home. Great race from Jonathan from Belgium. Wonderful race. He's really having a fantastic second half of the year. He unfortunately had an accident at Challenge Gran Canaria earlier this year that took him out for a little while, but great to see him back racing very, very well. You can see on screen, Antonio Benito, the top Spanish athlete, coming home in fourth. Jonathan Waif in fifth. So we're not sure what happened to Aaron Royle. He was holding fourth place for so long. Obviously not having the run that we know he is capable of there today. So our top five on screen, Yuri Cullen, our winner here today, Alistair Brownlee, followed by Willie Hirsch, Antonio Benito from Spain, our top Spanish athlete to finish today, Jonathan Waif from Belgium. And there we go. We can see Aaron Royle coming across the finish line just then. So definitely not Aaron Royle's day. Two boys to first and second place. Post-race chats. But I'm sure both men very happy with their race today. So while our winner, Yuri Cullen, gets ready to start the whole post-race procedures, interviews, getting himself ready for that, we know that the women's race, completely different affair to our men's race. Imogen Simmonds has taken complete control of this race. On last check, she was a minute 48 ahead of Lucy Buckingham in second. There are updates on course that Olivia Mitchell from Ireland is also running her way through the field, so having a fantastic run. And Carolyn Pohl, we're just waiting to get an update and hopefully some video footage as soon as we have finished interviewing our winner here today, Yuri Cullen. But a very emotional win for the young Dutchman. He's not short of a word or two either. In fact, he gives me a run for my money most days, but you know, I love seeing the raw emotion of an athlete when they know that they have nailed it, when they have come here and done exactly what they wanted to do. You know, you don't often get that opportunity in racing. Often, for whatever reason, things just don't go your way. You don't have the swim that you think you're capable of. You don't get on the right feet. You know, have a mechanical on the bike. But to be able to come to a race and absolutely nail it from beginning to end it's an incredible feeling, and you can see that Yuri knows that he has done that here today. It's going to be a very special win for him. And so while we can see Yuri on screen, we know Imogen Simmonds leads, Lucy Buckingham in second. Carolyn Pohl was still holding third, but Olivia Mitchell very, very close behind. Marta Sanchez also up there, and Margie Santa Maria in sixth. So our top 6 women. Start of the last lap of the run. So great to see Margie Santa Maria in sixth. Marta Sanchez, the fastest of the Spanish athletes here today after the withdrawal of Sara Peréz Sala. But in third, Carolyn Pohl still holding third place, just under 3 minutes down on Imogen Simmonds. And an update on our professional men. Yuri Cullen from the Netherlands taking out the top spot here today. Alistair Brownlee from Great Britain in second. Wilhelm Hirsch in third. Antonio Benito in fourth. Jonathan Wayaf in fifth. Guillaume Montiel in sixth. And Marcel Bolbet in seventh. Aaron Royle taking 8th place, so not quite having the run that we know he is capable of. Roger Magna in 9th. Rounding out the top 10 today, Inaki Baladou. So Baladou in 10th place, another of our Spanish athletes. So Spanish men doing really well today. And Antonio Benito, the fastest of our Spanish athletes, coming home in 4th place. So while our professional men's race is done and dusted, we now turn our eyes to the women's race. After I saw that time gap of Imogen Simmonds out of the swim, I honestly started to think, wow, maybe her day is just not going to happen here in Barcelona. But slowly and surely she made her way through the field after giving up around 1.5 minutes on that swim to the likes of Lucy Buckingham and Sara Peréz Sala. Unfortunately, we lost Sara Peréz Sala sometime during the early stages of the bike ride. We're not 100% sure what the issue was. Imogen Simmonds has slowly but surely been making her way up through the field. She caught the lead women, came in with the leaders on the bike in the final kilometres of that 60k bike ride. She asserted herself very, very early on in the run, took the lead early, and is continuing to extend that lead. As we can see right down on ground now, Cam Worth. We didn't get to say much about him all day. We knew he was out there. He knew as soon as it became a non-wetsuit swim, it was going to make it a little tricky for him. We know his swimming has improved a lot over the years, but it is still not where it needs to be when you throw in athletes like Aaron Royle, Alistair Brownlee, who we knew were pushing the pace as soon as that gun went off. But still, always great to have Cam Worth here at our races. He's an incredible competitor. We are now waiting on the finish line for our professional women. Carolyn Pohl in third, as I mentioned earlier, just shy of 3 minutes down on our leader, Simmonds. Olivia Mitchell from Ireland in fourth, 4:15 down, and Marta Sanchez of Spain in fifth at around 6:15 down. And then in sixth place, we have Margie Santa Maria from Italy, around just over that 6 minute mark down as well. So our top 6 women making their way back towards the finish now. So it is Simmonds leading the way. Lucy Buckingham, 2:20 down. Carolyn Pohl, 2:58 down. Olivia Mitchell, 4:15 down. Marta Sanchez, 5:15 down. And Maria Santa Maria at 6:02 down. But I know many triathlon fans around the world will be so excited to have this man on screen right now, back on the race course. He looks fit. He looks healthy. No signs of the injuries or the struggles that he's had all year, preventing him from racing at his very best. First race done and dusted. First race under the belt. I'm sure that's a very relieving feeling for Ali Brownlee right now. Fantastic backdrop right down here. The beach in Barcelona in the background, the city itself. Wonderful, wonderful day. Plenty of racing yet to come. It's not too long now before we see our professional women making their way to the red carpet. So Imogen Simmonds herself, having come back from a fairly significant injury that required surgery. This is her first full year back in racing. She's done really, really well. She started with the championship in Simmonds, Slovakia back in May. She was 12th. She won Challenge Cagnes-sur-Mer. She also was the winner at Challenge Valsy. She was second at 70.3 Talon, fourth at the PTO Asian Open in Singapore, and then third place at the 70.3 World Championships in Finland. She really has had an incredible year, and now she gets to continue that winning streak with the first place here today at the inaugural Challenge Barcelona. She is an incredible athlete. And as I mentioned, it had been a rocky road getting her back to where she is now. but doing such an incredible job. Her coach, Alistair Brownlee, she's been with Alistair for a long time now. He is the head coach. He's been in the sport of triathlon for around 8 years. I first got to meet Imogen Simmonds when she used to train back in Phuket, Thailand. She's now bases herself in Switzerland to train in Valais and also more recently in Girona. But wonderful to see Imo back where we know she's capable of being. She is also racing next weekend in Mallorca. We have another incredible field of professional athletes racing next weekend in Mallorca. Olympic champions, world champions, European champions, you name it. They are going to be there next week. Sellout field. And then the weekend after that, so while we have Challenge Peguera Mallorca next weekend, the weekend after that, we have 2 inaugural races, Challenge Ignacia in Italy and Challenge Vubaku in France. So we know it is only a matter of time before we see Imo make her way across the finish line. .251.31 on the clock. We knew the women would be coming in under that 3-hour mark. And here she comes right now. Big smile on her face as Imogen Simmonds from Switzerland takes yet another win this year. Incredible race from Imo. There with her gorgeous partner Dan on the finish line. He's been everywhere this year supporting her. Ex-professional cyclist himself. Wonderful, wonderful couple, and just so great to see Imo take the win here today. She came in with a little bit of a cloud over her health, a little bit of a head cold coming into the race. He wasn't sure if it was going to affect her or not. It did seem to take her just that little bit longer to find her groove and to get going today, but once she did, well, there was absolutely no looking back. She really is all class. That makes 3 from 3 for Imogen Simmonds in our Challenge Family Series. She won Cagnes Sumer. She won Challenge Valsi. And she has now won Challenge Barcelona. She's got 2 more races to go on the Challenge Family calendar, with Challenge Peguera Mallorca next week and then Challenge Ignacia the week after that. And we have fairly close behind, we know Lucy Buckingham is holding second place. We are waiting for Lucy to make her way towards the finish line. Really strong racing from Lucy as well. She led the swim. She was up the front on the bike for the entire ride, and she's held on strong in the run. She's also having a really strong year this year. A little bit of a hiccup on the way with the 70.3 World Championships when she realised that she had a little bit of a, well, not a little, a lot of an iron deficiency problem. She solved that and she is back. We know she won 70.3 Knocker Haste not that long ago, and now today coming home in second place. Here she is now in that red BMC kit, stands out. She's part of the BMC team, a great team to be a part of. She's done them proud once more today. This is the exact same finish we saw at Challenge Valsy back in July, where these two went to battle. They've done it once more here again today. First and second place across the finish line for these two. And wow, what a tight finish right there. Carolyn Pole coming across the finish line now in third. She has given it absolutely everything. So close racing between Lucy Buckingham and Carolyn Pole today. They came in off the bike together. I think Carolyn Pole knew that there were some women coming from behind, Olivia Mitchell, and also Marta Sanchez, Margie Santamaria. We know that is our top six. But wonderful racing. Imogen Simmonds from Switzerland taking first place here today in 2:49.44. Lucy Buckingham from Great Britain in 2:52.38. And Carolyn Pole from Germany as, yep, looks like Olivia Mitchell right now across the finish line as well. Great race from Olivia. Lots of support and lots of rapport amongst our professional athletes. It's why I love our sport so much. A lot of these men and women are genuinely great friends off the race course. Great racing from these top four women. Of course, Mitchell was the winner of 70.3 Elsinore earlier this year. Great to see her coming home strong today in fourth place. But it's this woman on screen right now, Imogen Simmonds from Switzerland, chatting with her partner, Dan. He's been an incredible help to her and support for her, particularly this year. They're a wonderful, wonderful couple. Now we are waiting for local athlete Marta Sanchez coming home in fifth place. So rounding out our top five, really solid race for Marta Sanchez to be racing against the likes of Imogen Simmonds, Lucy Buckingham, Carolyn Pole, and Olivia Mitchell. It really is a world-class field here today. And what a great opportunity for a lot of these local Spanish athletes to get to race some of the best that we have in our sport. You can see her now, very, very excited. Great racing. Marta Sanchez. We know in 6th place, Margie Santa Maria, also close, but great racing from the Spanish athlete on screen right now, Marta Sanchez. So our 2 top Spanish athletes for today on screen, Marta Sanchez. And of course, for our men's race, it was Antonio Benito Lopez coming home in 4th place today in our men's race. And I recognise that face of Margie Santa Maria coming home, rounding out that top 6. So great to see Margie. She's a crowd favourite. She always has a smile on her face. She's a huge supporter of the Challenge family events. We love, love, love having her at our races. You can see the crowd favourite here today, though, is Marta Sanchez. Looks like family and friends on the sideline cheering her on. Very, very happy with her race here today, as they should be. 4th place against this field. Such a strong race from the Spaniard. So while we have our top 5 professional women up on screen now, Imogen Simmonds taking the win here today. Lucy Buckingham in 2nd, Carolyn Pohl in 3rd, Marta Sanchez in 4th, Margie Santa Maria in 6th place. In 5th place. In 1st place for our men, we know it was Yuri Kulin, Alistair Brownlee in 2nd, Willie Hirsch in 3rd, Antonio Benito in 4th, Jonathan Wayaf in 6th, and Guilherme Montiel in 6th. We are paying top 6 today, so top 6 professional males and females will be receiving prize money today, as well as automatic qualification for the championship in Simmonds, Slovakia, and valuable points towards the end of year Challenge Family World Bonus. So just to let you know that there was Olivia Mitchell missing from the results that were up on the board right then. It was Olivia Mitchell in 5th, Margie Santa Maria in 6th, and in 7th place, another local athlete, Laura Gomez, and coming home in 7th place. So great racing from our local Spanish athletes here today. So just to let you know, 5th place, Olivia Mitchell from Ireland, 6th place, Margie Santa Maria from Italy, and in 7th place, Laura Gomez from Spain. So right now with this win of Imogen Simmonds, she will collect 250 points towards the world bonus. I do believe that will now push her up into 4th position overall. If she continues to race the way we have seen her race today, and she is able to get some good points in Mallorca next week and also Ignacia the week after, she will make her way up into that top 3 spot. We know that she loves racing in Mallorca. She spent quite a lot of time there. We know Magda Nieuwholt is leading the world bonus for the women. She has got a huge lead over the rest of the women's field. But certainly 2 more great results from Imo could push her up well and truly into that top 3 position. For the men, there'll be no serious changes after today's racing. Caleb Noble still leads the way. I'm sure he's breathing a sigh of relief right now. Aaron Royle not having the run that we know he is capable of, which means he will not make any points from today's race, so that will not change. And Caleb Noble remains on that top spot. Aaron will have another crack in 2 weeks' time at Challenge Vubaku. We've got some athletes racing next week. We know Mathis Magirier is doing very, very well in the world bonus. Good results in Mallorca and Vubaku could most certainly push him up above Caleb, but this is what we wanted. It's going to come right down to that very last race at the end of the year, as it should. Fabulous scenes right now of the city of Barcelona, one of the most incredible cities in the world, most certainly one of the most incredible cities in Europe. Beautiful day today. We could not have asked for a better day if we tried. We know it is starting to warm up there on ground for our age group athletes, but as we go back to that decisive move from Yuri Kulin, when it was now or never for the young Dutchie, and he did not look back. Well, he actually did look back a couple of times just to make sure that Alistair Brownlee was not coming from behind, but truly wonderful, wonderful win from the young Dutchman at only 25 years of age. One of the biggest wins of his career, for sure, to beat the great Alistair Brownlee. And he was absolutely pumped for it. Ali Brownlee, of course, coming home in second. Just so happy to have this young man back on a race course again. He's been plagued with injury. Let's hope this is the first of many races for Alistair Brownlee. And of course, again, for Imogen Simmonds from Switzerland, not the same sort of race as we saw in our men's race, not quite as close and affair. She had this race well and truly wrapped up from the beginning stages of the run. Big hug from her partner, Dan. Yet another win for Imogen to add to her collection for this year. And coming home in second, of course, Lucy Buckingham. And in third place, Carolyn Pohl. We're down on ground with our top Spanish finisher today, Marta Sanchez, local athlete, big smile on her face, great race from her to finish in fourth place. So a wonderful day for our winners today, Yuri Cullen from the Netherlands and Imogen Simmonds from Switzerland. An equally wonderful day for our top Spanish athletes, Marta Sanchez coming home in 5th place for our women. And then, of course, Antonio Benito Lopez coming home in 4th for our men. We're about to do the flower ceremony right now. You can see the athletes in the background making their way around the Olympic distance course here, while our professional athletes are done and dusted. In the hybrid distance that we had today, a very special distance, 1.5 kilometre swim, 60 kilometre bike and a 15 kilometre run.
Moltes emocions viscudes i ja ha arribat a aquesta línia de meta.
Great atmosphere down on ground.
Bé, doncs ara sí, ja ho tenim. Comencem aquest lliurament de premis. Comencem amb la categoria femenina d'aquesta modalitat de short. Amb sisena posició, el tennis de triatlon Justin Gra! Justin. Cinquena posició. Esperem a la sisena.
So they will be bringing up on stage the top 6 professional males and top 6 professional females today.
En David Escuder. Comença donant aquest primer de short, el de challenge family. Amb cinquena posició, Magi Maria.
That was Laura Gomez in 6th position. Laura Gomez from Spain on screen right now. Magi Santamaria. Yes, they've made a little bit of a boo-boo because Magi Santamaria was indeed 6th place. So I think there's been a little bit of a muck-up with the results, which we mentioned earlier. Margie was indeed 6th place. Yep, and Olivia Mitchell was unfortunately. There might have been a little bit of an issue with her timing chip. That's what I think is happening right now. Whoops. Well, sometimes things don't go as perfectly as you planned, but we do know for sure that Margie Santamaria on stage right now was in 6th place. Laura Gomez was home in 7th place. But thankfully for us, our professional athletes are such wonderful people. They know these things can sometimes happen. But Magi Santamaria home in 6th place. Magi from Italy. Really a great year so far as we wait. We are just waiting here for clarification. I do believe that's Olivia Mitchell in the green there. She was home in fourth. We saw her cross the line in fourth. I think what has occurred here is that there's just been a little bit of a malfunction with her timing chip, and they are working off the official results from the timing, which of course Olivia is probably not on there. They will get it sorted. I am positive of that. Are the joys of technology. So here we go. Let's try it. Take two. We have Maggi Santamaria from Italy taking home 6th place today and €500. And of course, in 5th position, local Spanish athlete. Wonderful race from her today. Marta Sanchez coming home in 5th position and taking home €1,000 for her efforts. And Olivia Mitchell from Ireland having a wonderful run here today to come home in 4th place, taking home €1,500. And taking that first spot, number 3 on the podium, Carolyn Pohl from Germany. Solid race from her all day long. She will take home €2,000. Lucy Buckingham from Great Britain, 2nd here today. Another strong race from the Brit. She will be taking home €3,000. Always smiling. Such a great athlete both on and off the race course. But there's no denying Imogen Simmonds, our clear winner today, took control of the run very, very early on and never looked back. Having such a stellar year. She will be taking home €4,500 for the win here today in Barcelona. So our top 6 women racing here today at the inaugural Challenge Barcelona over such a cool distance, of which none of our professional athletes have raced over before. They put on a spectacle for us. Beautiful conditions. Now we move on to our professional men. So in 6th position, Guillaume Montiel. Taking home $500. In 5th place, Jonathan Weff from Belgium. Mantel there in 6th place from Spain. So great day for our Spanish athletes. 4th place, Antonio Benito, fastest of our Spanish athletes. $1,500 for his 4th place today. Our early swim leader, he made them chase hard. He was up there in that top 5 on the bike. He had a solid run to come home in 3rd place here today. Willi Hirsch from Germany. Great race from the German. Most certainly a sight for sore eyes to see this young man back at a race and back on the podium for such a long time, plagued with injury. I'm sure the entire triathlon world is smiling right now to see Alistair Brownlee back where we know he belongs. But it was the Dutchman, the young 25-year-old, just turned 25, still has an entire career ahead of him. Yuri Cullen from the Netherlands, coming home on the top spot today. Great racing from him. He made that decisive move in the dying stages of the run and never looked back. Definitely one of the best races I've seen from him thus far in his career. It's going to give him a lot of confidence going into next weekend's race in Challenge Peguera Mallorca. Well, wonderful racing here today in Barcelona for the inaugural Challenge Barcelona. I'm already so excited for next year's races. We bring the women back up to share the podium with their counterparts. Love that Willi Hirsch and Carolyn Pohl matched out, decked out in the same kit, both coming in 3rd place, the 2 Germans. And then we've got the 2 Brits on the other side of them coming home in 2nd. We had a stellar field of professional athletes lined up here today. Wonderful racing. Cannot wait for next year's event. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I still can't stop smiling. It was such an incredible event. I have no doubt it's just going to get bigger and better. But from me, I'd like to say thank you. We have Challenge Peguera Mallorca coming up next weekend. Following that, 2 brand new races in France and Italy. Challenge Ignacia and Challenge Vubicu. But until then, it's a goodbye from me. Have a great afternoon.